Hey, what's up guys? How are you doing? Hope you're doing well. I'm back from my travels. I went to Asia, traveled to different countries in Asia, had a really good time. I think I look fresh. What do you think, guys? I look fresh, I look ready, I look rejuvenated. That's what travel does to you. Anyways, guys, I'm back and today we're going to go into something really interesting that most people should be looking into as a means of investing, or as a way of investing, or as a strategy for investing, and that is investing in foreign currencies. Now, not just investing in Forex or in foreign currencies directly, but also investing in what we call foreign denominated assets. Now, in Kenya, obviously, we have these assets, we have mutual funds, we have stocks, we have indices that are denominated in foreign currencies, mainly the US dollar or the pound, right? But most people in Kenya right now are investing, and I shouldn't call it investing, but most people are utilizing money market funds as a way of entry into investing world. And I understand, because money market funds are very efficient, they're very easy to enter, they have low entry bar, they are easy to use, they are liquid, they're accessible to most people. As in, money market funds have all those advantages. Now, recently, CMA, which is the Capital Markets Authority in Kenya, it just approved new money market funds. But the difference with these money market funds it's approving now is that they are foreign currency denominated, meaning they have USD accounts, GBP accounts, which is the pound or the sterling pound. And therefore, it means you in Kenya or anyone in Africa who wants to invest can easily access different currencies. Now, before we go into the specific ones that have been approved by the CMA recently, why is it a good thing to invest in these foreign currencies? That's the most important question, right? So you need to understand why you would leave Kenyan shillings, or what we call the local currency or domestic currency, and invest in a foreign currency. Obviously, that comes with certain risks. It comes with certain benefits. Does the benefit outweigh the risks, or there's just no need for doing it? As usual, this kind of money matters. Here we talk about the money mindset, how to make that money, how to enjoy that money, how to manage that money, how to invest that money, and how to assure yourself of a lifetime of income, basically financial freedoms. So if you start investing long term, one of the strategies you want to apply in your investing is that you want to invest in different things, in different baskets. That's why they say never put your eggs in one basket, because if that basket collapses, then you lose everything. So one of the reasons why you would want to invest in a money market fund, or utilize, I don't want to call it investing, to utilize a money market fund that is foreign currency denominated, like the USD money market funds. Now we have the GBP money market funds, which is the pound, this one of the strongest currencies. By the way, the sterling pound is not the strongest currency. It's just the one of the biggest countries, biggest economies with a strong currency. But there are stronger currencies than the GBP. Anyways, the GBP is a very strong currency. The USD is obviously a standard measure of currencies, globally speaking. So why would you want to invest in money market funds with these currency accounts? The first thing is diversification. Like I just said, you don't want to put your money or everything in the same basket. Now, third world countries or developing world countries like Kenya obviously have a bit of instability to their currencies, because their currencies depend on the strength of the dollar most of the time, or the strength of the other currencies. The fluctuations in the Kenyan shillings are easily affected by the fluctuations in other currencies, meaning there's more instability in developing world because of that dependency. And why? Because of exports and imports. Because of that imbalance, these countries still import way more than they actually export. And therefore, it means their dependency in terms of how they're quoted in the global market is based on the US dollar, is based on the pound, but mainly the US dollar, then it goes into the other currencies. So if you want to diversify and invest in a more stable currency, then you'd want to use something like the US dollar or the sterling pound. That's one reason. Number two is political and economic instabilities, right? So like I said again, these third world countries or developing countries are more prone to political and economic instabilities. Now, if we just take the example of Kenya, we've just seen in the last few months, and I would say several months actually, we've always had something going, right? We had COVID going. Then after COVID, which affected us more than it affected the Western countries, we had lots of political issues going. And currently we have the Kasongo issue ongoing, whereby people are constantly protesting about something. And these things affect the economy. They affect the political stability of the country. The investors look at that country as like a hotbed, and therefore they don't invest there. Money flows out than it flows in. What happens to the currencies? The currencies go down in terms of value. So political and economic instability can happen in many ways, not just through protest, but through bad management, corruption, lots of unregulated money in the economy. There are so many things that can lead to political and economic instability. But yes, if you want to avoid that, you can invest in assets and countries and money market funds that are actually foreign currency denominated, because that way that currency remains strong despite what's happening locally. So it helps you in that sense. But again, it also means that if there's political and economic instability in those other countries where you're investing and their currency goes down, then you're in trouble. But because we've seen the historical trends, we know which countries are likely to go down and which countries are likely to remain stable, even politically speaking and economically as well. So there's potential for higher returns. Why? If you invest in a foreign currency, someone recently asked me, why do you get 5% in like a USD money market fund or a GBP money market fund, and you get way more in a Kenyan money market fund? Obviously, because of the exchange rates, right? So if you invest in the pound, you could find that, yes, you're getting a 5%, but the 5% on the pound is a way stronger return compared to the 10% in Kenyan shillings. Because when you take that £5 and you take that 5% return, if you take that 5% return on the pound and you change that money based on the strength of that currency, you have potential for higher returns. So there is always the potential that you could get more money if you invest in, let's say, the money market funds with USDs and GBP, like a strong foreign currency money market fund. There's a potential that through that exchange, you're going to get higher returns as well. And because of that stability as well, you see, you could be getting higher returns on a local money market fund, a Kenyan money market fund, but the value of that currency is going down because of all the other issues I've mentioned, and the value of the other currency is quite stable with your 5 or 6%. Chances are you're going to make more money once you take your money and you invest it or you change it into Kenyan shillings, or even if you just spend it, whatever. So there is that potential for higher returns. Then, of course, hedging against inflation. One thing that we don't usually talk about as much as we should is inflation. We keep losing value of our money over time, right? 1,000 today, 1,000 Kenya shillings today is not what 1,000 Kenya shillings is in the next 1 year or so. But this is something we never really take into account properly because no one knows the exact figures. The government will always try to underquote the inflation rates. And you never really know exactly how much this affects your investments and everything else. But if you invest in a different currency, it means you're hedging against that inflation. So as inflation goes up in Kenyan shillings and Kenyan shillings loses value, then you are safe in a much stronger economy and a much stronger currency. So there's that hedging against inflation, even though those other economies also have inflation for sure, but their rate of inflation will be much lower compared to our rate of inflation. For instance, right now, I think Kenya, we are almost at 9%. If you go to the US, you're looking at 4% or something. That's way less. If you come to the UK, we're looking at around the same rate. So it's basically hedging against that rate of inflation that is much higher in local currencies. Then, of course, it gives you access to global markets. Who doesn't want to invest in global markets? Who doesn't want to invest in other markets out there, right? So you could be investing in Kenyan shillings, but there are certain things that you can't buy using Kenyan shillings. Now, this doesn't apply to the money markets funds I'm talking about because these ones are now domiciled in Kenya, but offering you that opportunity to buy in a foreign currency. But if you wanted to access global markets, there are certain funds, that will only take your money or invest your money if you're willing to invest in that foreign currency. If you go to funds that use, let's say, USDs or GBP, they would say, hey, we can't actually take Kenya shillings. I've seen many funds and many brokerages that don't take Kenya shillings. And you want to buy certain assets that you are in that particular fund, or you want to buy that fund or ETF or whatever, it gives you that access to global markets because not all assets will be sold in the currency that you want them in. So most of the time, investing in a foreign currency will give you that access to, other global markets as well. This helps with the money market funds denominated in like USD and GBP because then you are parking your money there. And if you want to invest in like a foreign asset properly, which is not a money market fund, then now you just take that money directly without any exchange rate issues and invest in those global assets. Then sometimes also you just want to ensure that you are investing in markets that are more regulated. So you find that some of these currencies or these economies are way more regulated. There's no flooding of money that is, what we call the unregulated money or money laundering. There's a lot more regulation, a lot more control in terms of how that currency is managed. And so if you invest, let's say, in the GBP, which is the pound, or the USD, you are sure that the regulations protect you against any infiltration of, some high liquidity of money coming from different places that just affects the value of that money. So regulation is a big issue. In Kenya, for instance, we've seen the last few years or so, not even last few years, many years, we've seen loads of unregulated money come into the sectors like real estate industry. And that has watered down the value of this real estate industry, even though the prices seem high, but the kind of return you get from these investments are not as high. Why? Because there's a lot of unregulated money coming into the economy. But when you invest in these foreign currencies, then you're hedging yourself against that lack of regulation that could interfere with your investment or your money, essentially. Now, which ones have been just approved by the CMA in Kenya right now? One of them, which I wanted to actually say, is the GBP one, because most people currently are investing in the USD money market fund. Because of course the GBP, which is a British pound, is one of the strongest currencies and also one of the strongest economies. Recently, when I went to Bahrain and I was passing by the airport and I wanted to buy a burger, and I realized, oh, a burger is like £4. But yeah, it was Bahrain money. And so when I was going to buy the burger in McDonald's, it was Burger King or McDonald's, and I was realizing, okay, this is only £4. I was thinking it would be less in my currency. Then I remembered Kuwait, Bahrain, and some of these Middle East countries have way stronger. I think even Oman, right, have really strong currencies. So the £4 I was looking at was almost £9 British pound, right? And that was really high because for one single burger this size for £9, that's crazy, right? So I didn't buy it. But that you can see the difference in currencies and how it influences your decisions, even when purchasing everyday stuff like a normal burger. So I wanted to say this one because this is the new GBP fixed income fund in Kenya that you can invest in if you want to access that strong currency. It's called the Bahrain dinar. Yeah, the Bahrain dinar. So if you can't access the Bahrain dinar, then obviously the next best one you want to access is the big economy as well. A big economy, strong economy, and a stable economy. So one of the companies that has been approved for GBP fixed income is Sanlam Investments East Africa. And then Allah Capital was also granted approval for a USD money market fund. Then we have FCG Asset Management Limited, which will establish sub-funds, which are offshore sub-funds. So following that approval, Sanlam will operate a Sanlam GBP fixed income fund. So for those who want to invest in GBP, and if you're already with Sanlam, then that's a very good fund that you might want to look into once it comes live. Now we will look at it when it comes live and how it performs and the kind of returns. But yeah, that's a good opportunity that's coming up there. Then Allah Investment will have different funds that have been approved. There's a Kenya Shillings fixed income fund, and then there's a USD one as well. So those who are in Allah Capitals, in Allah Capital Investment, you can access USD as well as Kenya Shillings if you want to. But right now we're focusing on foreign currencies. So all the three of them, Sanlam, Allah, and VCG, will be operating USD money market funds. I hope that's been helpful. Let me know which one you're investing in. Let me know if you have a USD or a GBP or you're looking to invest into one. And when are you looking to invest into it? Until next time, guys, I'm out.